Okay, Sunday, May 29th. So start with yesterday's. Inuvik got to 3, and say Norman Wells was 14. Pretty good there. Actually, the RH was, there are a number of them in the 30s, 35% at Norman. And Fort Simpson was at 10 degrees yesterday, 0.6 and 47. And just for some winds there of interest, West Horn gusted up to 57, so not far off of the 60. And what else was I going to say? Oh, we'll go to Liard. Liard got to 10. Didn't report any precip yesterday, but I imagine there's some around sort of last night and into today, 48%. And there was gusts there to 52 as well. So Yellowknife got to 11. 2.6 mils, and it was 77% RH there, but then they were under more of their showery stuff, and when there were some clear areas, like at Wati, they got down to 26% RH. So, you know, it's dry if you get into the, you know, non-cloud areas, that's for sure, especially North Slave. Fort Smith was 22 into the warmer air, a nice day there actually. And 44% for the RH there. Hay River was not 44, it was 4. And about 15 mils there, and 96% RH. And what was there? At Fort Providence, they got a little over 7 mils there. Into Fort Chip, they got about 14 and 45%. So like you said, there was rain into the valley, certainly I guess overnight and through today, and snow on the higher ground, that's for sure. Not very warm in most valley. I think only a few degrees above 0. So let's see what happened with the lightning. Most of it was down towards Wood Buffalo and south, but some of it did poke up into the Hay zone. So I got a few lightning strikes there, and a little bit, even a few strikes into the southern Decho where it wasn't raining. So we'll go on to the 500. Just wait here. There's nothing all that startling for the NWT right now at 500. Great big upper ridge over Alaska. That's not affecting us immediately. And what else could I say? Not a whole lot. There's this you know, pretty cold center in northeastern BC, and that's why you're getting the cold air and the well, the snow into the southern Decho area. So we'll go to the surface, and we got this nice tight little low. That's, where is it? Just west of Fort Smith this morning. And it's got a good gradient, as you can see, across North Slave and obviously into Decho and that. So giving all those strong winds, and that's continuing today and pretty much through tomorrow too. So another couple of days of windy conditions. As you can imagine, when you get around this low, you can get the winds can get kind of variable. So, you know, where the little lows are going to be, they're not moving very fast, and where they're exactly going to be can disrupt the wind field. And then you can see to the south of it how it widens out, that gradient. So, you know, it gets, you know, winds die right off when you get south of that low. So let's go have a look at the satellite this morning. A bit of that clear area into Smith and, where's that, Caribou zone, but you see that thicker cloud over Decho, and it's wrapping its way around sort of more towards the southern parts of Decho. So that's going to stick around today, and rainy in the Decho, and well, likely wet snow over the higher ground still again. So much the same scenario was last night, I suppose. A lot of cloud. Even in Inuvik, they got picked up a northerly flow and getting some low cloud there. So this evening, I'll just go to the surface and show you. Here's this, I guess it's there now. There's this, it looks like there's probably some kind of a low in this trough. That's, so where would it be? It's close to Fort Smith, or a little, just about where it is now, just a little west of Fort Smith. you could draw one almost anywhere. You could draw one even over just north of Great Slave Lake in there. So the winds can be kind of tricky in around that, like for Hay and Smith areas through today. Think, pretty consistent in North Slave with the strong winds and then the strong northerly winds into Decho. That looks pretty consistent in that strong gradient. So we'll go to what I got for a prog. I said I decided to put this little low just again kind of west of Fort Smith, and that makes the winds, well, accordingly with that low. Like if it's a little further north or whatever, it's going to change the wind field around again. So, it's not carved in stone, and that's exactly where it's going to be. But that seemed like the most consistent through the progs. So what does that give? It gives a southeasterly wind into Wood Buffalo here, 20 gusting to 30. And eastern parts where you're out of the cloud, you can get up to 20 and 35% RHs there. Get into Smith, and they're north of that low there, at least the one I've drawn, and easterly winds 20 gusting 30 and about 22 for a high, 30% down to 30% RHs. Off into Caribou, easterly winds 30 gusting 40, still good there. And you can get down to 25% RHs, it looks like, out in that area. Well, that's what got into North Slave yesterday, same kind of air mass. And into North Slave, their winds are pretty consistent easterly, 30 gusting 45 again. And some areas, if you get a bit, in the southern areas where there's not so much cloud, you can do down to 30% RHs and about 16. But then you get up into the northern parts and only maybe 12 and 80% in the showers there. So Hay zone, as I've drawn it, will be west of that low. So westerly winds 10 gusting 20. Now if that low is farther up north, then the winds could maybe be southwest, or they could be kind of variable in the Hay zone, but I've drawn it like this, westerly wind. So bear in mind that they could be kind of variable, especially in the Hay zone. 14 or so, 70% RHs. There's a few little lightning possibilities, again, bit unstable air mass, mostly through Wood Buffalo again, but then kind of poking into the Hay zone, like it's somewhat similar to yesterday. And further west, still a windy day, 30 gusting to 45 through much of Decho, 5 or so for a high again. So the rain that you get in the higher ground could be mixed with wet snow, that's for sure. And 20 gusting 40 at Liard, and only about 5 there as well. A little bit better into Sawtooth, easterly winds 15 gusting 25, a few showers still hanging around, about 10 degrees, and around 35% humidity, much like yesterday. And a northerly breeze in Inuvik, 15 gusting 20, only about 7 there. So on to the next map for tomorrow evening. And we'll go down to the surface again here. So it looks like there's, well, it doesn't have a low here, but the other latest prog sort of had a little low just west of the northern arm of Slave Lake. So on my prog, I'll put one in there and show you what the wind fields are with that. So things don't move very much at all. They just kind of hang there and then just sort of dissolve away after tomorrow. And it gives much the same gradient, little less gradient actually through the north, but still pretty brisk winds around the thing. The rain starts to ease off overnight through Decho, so it gets kind of showery into tomorrow. And so let's go to the prog I got. So like I said, I got this low just kind of west of the northern arm. It could be there. It actually could be in the Hay zone again, so it's kind of variable with that one. So I'll draw it there, and then a trough extending south across Wood Buffalo Park from that. So that gives us winds into the Smith area, kind of easterly, 10 gusting 20, and around 19 for a high, 40%. You go into Wood Buffalo on the west side of the trough, and more northerly winds, 10 gusting to 20, about 15 for a high, 40% RHs. Into Hay, Well, northwest winds sort of 15 gusting or 10 gusting 20, about 11 for a high, 50% RHs. And more consistent wind field, it looks like you go over to the east into, what am I thinking, Caribou. And easterly winds 20 gusting, 25, 30, 15 for a high there, 40%. Up north Slave still got the easterly winds, 20 gusting, 35. And southern parts where you might see some little breaks like I got there, 17 again for highs, 30%, and then up into the north where there's some more clouds, you're only around 13 for a high. Still the brisk winds into Sahtu, northerly 20 gusting 30, not as bad as today, but still pretty brisk, and a couple of degrees warmer, maybe 7 for a high. And Liard, northwest-ish winds, 15 gusting 25, maybe they'll get to 10 for a high. So like I say, the rain area should be scattering out tonight, and then just still leaving some showers through most of Dehcho and the north part of North Slave region. Sahtu, easterly winds again, 15 or so, gusting 25, about 11 for a high. And hey, a little bit warmer in Nuvik, start picking up a southerly flow there, around 15 kilometers an hour, maybe get up to the mid-teens there. So that's kind of the bright spot for tomorrow. Tuesday, we'll go to Tuesday. Let these progs come up. Okay, Tuesday, it looks like that low area is going to the surface. It's all pretty much dissolved away. And getting really quite a lighter gradient for Tuesday over much of the NWT, maybe save for the Caribou zone where you still got some brisk winds. So a lot quieter weather pattern. Maybe what we can find at 500 millibars, we go up there and see there's some kind of a trough, upper little low center crossing the western part of Dehcho and into the Slave zones, and that could kick off some thunder showers there. It might be, looks like kind of an unstable feature. So that's kind of one of the only features to really go for there on Tuesday. It gets to be kind of a calm, quieter weather pattern. And Wednesday starts the mark towards a lot different weather pattern. We're starting to get an upper ridge that's building over the NWT. And that starts coming in through Wednesday and certainly into Thursday, as I'll show you. So a warmer and drier southerly flow coming in with that on Wednesday. At 500, it's still got this little low that's wandering its way across the South Slave, so could kick up some thunder showers through the Slave zone, especially looks like maybe Smith area through Wednesday afternoon, evening there. So a little bit of excitement there. But let's go to Thursday. Okay, I think we're on Thursday. So that shows a whole lot different pattern now over the NWT. We got upper ridging that's stretching across, well, you can see from the northern Yukon and down through the valley and over Alberta and that. So a lot warmer and drier. We look in the surface pattern, we can see a trough that usually forms with that sort of pattern through the Mackenzie Valley, and that's kicking up some good southerly winds to be across the north-south Slave and getting into Dehcho and that bringing in a lot warmer and drier air. Probably RH is getting down into the 30s, maybe getting down even into some of the 20s through a lot of the southern areas, especially, and probably as into Sahtu as well. So a lot different pattern coming into Thursday with some upper ridging that we haven't seen for a while. So let me stop it there, and you can ask a question if you want.
Yeah, nothing here, Max. Anything from the regions? Okay. So no duty officer called